So the name of the podcast is Sarasota SpeaX with an X, right? Sarasota SpeaX with an X. Like I was saying kind of before we started rolling, the idea is to really highlight local entrepreneurs, business owners, celebrities for that matter, because we live in Sarasota and there's more than a handful of them here now. But really just kind of highlighting the people that aren't the retirees that people think come to Florida.
Yeah, so from the outside perspective, I think a lot of times, people think of Sarasota, they think of old retirees, boring, and we're just trying to show the other side of Sarasota.
No, that's a great concept. I just don't know why you guys are interviewing me.
Weren't you the mayor or something?
You're the mayor, and you're the first one that said yes.
Former life.
How long ago, though?
I missed the meeting. Next thing you know, I'm mayor. I was the youngest mayor. That was just this past year. Terminated. Ended in November.
Yeah, your chat, GTP missed the youngest mayor part, which is obviously pretty interesting.
It is.
But when I was in high school, I went to high school locally to Riverview. And average age in Sarasota was like 67 years old. Right now it's 49. So we're becoming like young as hell in Sarasota.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
Well, that kind of, that stat plays into what we were talking about as far as more interesting than people perceive it to be.
Yeah. Actually, something that a lot of people don't know is if you look at where the most venture capital is being invested in the state of Florida, you have Miami in number 1, Orlando number 2. Number 3 is Sarasota.
I remember you telling me that, actually. Yeah.
We're above Naples and Tallahassee and Jacksonville and Tampa and St. Pete. Like, we are.
So it's Orlando 1, Tampa 2, Sarasota 3?
Miami, Orlando, Sarasota.
Right. We're ahead of Tampa, St. Pete.
We're ahead of Tampa, St. Pete.
That's interesting. From a recruiting standpoint, Sarasota is still a little bit difficult to recruit.
It's just not expensive. It's expensive to live in. Yeah, that's a problem. And you have, we have so many. Like right now in Sarasota, we have 4 former presidents of the New York Stock Exchange that live here. The former CEO of Procter & Gamble, former CEO of McDonald's lives here. I mean, you have just the CEOs of the CEO of Avelo Airlines was just here. The airline that goes up north.
They'll fly you from here to Raleigh for they actually will pay you. They'll pay you to get on the plane.
It's pretty much like the cost of a Starbucks.
Right. You can fly to Raleigh.
Yeah. All right, let's backtrack a little bit. How about you tell us about your life coming up, growing up before you became the illustrious mayor of Sarasota.
Okay, so why you're on the podcast is because we believe that you kind of bring a lot of Sarasota to the table, but before you were the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, look, I never thought I'd be running for office. I was always just involved and aware of the issues, and I noticed that a lot of people were running for office that weren't from the community. Like I went to high school here, so I came up and saw I had like my top 10 potholes in the city of Sarasota. Like I knew these roads.
All of your MySpace top 10 were
exactly.
From
it was like top 8. You were there on my top 8, and then you had my top 10 potholes. And so, so I knew the community, and I knew what wasn't getting attention, and the fact that I still had the same potholes from when I was in high school still here is a problem. It means that we're concentrating all our money in downtown and the waterfront, but there's like on the other side of 301, there's no art, there's less investment, and I wanted to kind of fix that. Well, before all that, before I really got into politics, I was born in the Dominican Republic to a single mom who brought me to here, Sarasota, for a better future. And
how old were you then?
When I became a citizen, I was 16.
Wow, that's cool.
My mom was already here, and she sold Sarasota, man.
That's a big deal. Think about like your life from 1 or 0 to 16, right? Like I can remember so much of that, and you came from the DR here at 16.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of baseball.
I got a question.
In the DR? Yeah, no shit.
Your English, what was your English like when you came here?
It was. I mean, I knew I was coming. I started the process to become a citizen when I was over there. So I knew since I was like 8 years old that I want to be coming here eventually.
The process was 8 years.
It took a little bit before I could become a citizen, my mom had to become a citizen. It's a whole thing. But my mom sold Sarasota. She was like, best place in the world. Like so many luxuries, bro. You're gonna come here and everybody has indoor air conditioning. Everybody has a roof.
That's great. Courtesy.
This podcast sponsored by Strong Roofing. Get your I'm on a roof shirt by going to www. Strongroofing.com?
Strong Roofing SRQ.
You would think.
.com. That was strongroofing.com was taken. Got it. So,
Some guy in Georgia's going to get a lot of hits.
Hey, we'll buy it from him eventually.
You know, my first warm shower. I mean, we don't have warm running water over there.
Crazy.
So oddly enough, I still take cold showers now, but it's a whole different paradigm, right? Over there, you can walk everywhere. Here, everybody has a car. Like, imagine the concept of everyone in your life having a car. That's a gigantic expense that not a lot of people can undertake. Everyone here does it. Over there, it was like the rich people on the block had a car. Here, it's everyone. Over there, you could walk everywhere to the stores, and you didn't need a car, which is arguably, I would say, what we need here. That's why we're trying to create walkable communities where I want to bring back the corner store. Who said that we have to have single family residential zoning separate from commercials? I'll tell you who it was. It was the car industry, because they wanted to separate it out. That's why we have giant lanes for cars, and we have like 5 feet for pedestrians.
That's a nice insight that, I would never have thought of, why that exists. The commercial zoning benefits the car industry. Mm-hmm. So you think there's some truth behind that?
There is. And, this exclusionary zoning was created, and there's a more sinister history to it. Exclusionary zoning was made so that you didn't have certain people of certain income or certain skin colors or certain backgrounds in your neighborhood.
Yeah, for a dumb roofer, why don't you explain exclusionary zoning?
Exclusionary zoning is what our neighborhoods say now. Most of our neighborhoods say, if you buy this lot of land, and this parcel that you bought, you can only build one home, and it has to be the biggest house you can have, right? You can't build more than 1 story or 2 stories. It's a single family. You can only have one family there. You have to have this huge setback for no reason, just a giant yard. And they don't allow the things that create walkable communities that are friendly to,
like the front stoop.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And they don't allow like duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, townhomes,
more affordable housing.
Sarasota, I was talking to a commissioner in Miami, and they've been trying to pass something for years that we managed actually to do here. They were trying to pass accessory dwelling units available citywide. And we did that. It's actually a pretty big deal, because now anybody in Sarasota, no matter where, if you live in a residence, you can build a mother-in-law suite, basically. An accessory dwelling unit.
A man cave. That's what we call it.
Or that, but also it creates affordable housing, because you can't make it larger than 650 square feet. And you're not going to rent that out for like $4,000.
Check with Airbnb.
Just 2.
Well, it sounds like you're against a lot of government overreach on private property. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and that's something that I feel doesn't get discussed enough. What about private property rights? Everybody wants to regulate everything you do, like in the county, in the cities. It's like, if you chop down, I just talked to a guy.
Don't talk to me about it.
I just talked to a guy. He chopped down, so
how quickly you get permits turned around?
So listen, Irma comes around and cuts down a bunch of trees, it breaks down a bunch of trees in his property. This guy doesn't even live here. He lives up north. Gets some contractor knocking on his door. He's like, hey, I could clean this up. Contractor just chops down everything. And then the contractor, who wasn't licensed in Florida,
shocker,
bails. This guy gets $186,000 fine. And we're dealing with this right now. And it's just crazy.
That really is.
It's just crazy. But also, I understand there's an interest in protecting trees because we need trees, but there's also property rights.
Yeah, and I just feel like you open Pandora's box when you use that example, the trees, right? People want to protect the trees. You give the government an inch in that direction, they'll take a mile, right? So all of a sudden, there's a Hurricane Ian victim that's getting charged $186,000 for some trees that were damaged by a hurricane. That's not what the law was put in place to do.
Would have rather spent the $186,000 to rebuild the house and rebuild the damage.
After they just got stiffed by some other person.
Right? We touched on it before we even started the podcast, the ADHD that is in this room, whether it be us or not
it's strong.
us.
It's a strong ADHD.
Maybe it's us, maybe it's the audience we have over here. I don't know. But, we got off topic again with how you, because the accomplishments are amazing, right? And it's awesome. And I just saw something about like Latin American first mayor or something like that.
Oh yeah, got the American Latin Chamber.
There you go.
Yeah,
but backing up before that, we got to connect the dots between how you land here from the DR at 16 and how you become the mayor of Sarasota at 25. Because you're only like, what, 27 now?
33.
I was trying to give you some help.
Okay, mayor.
You don't look a day over 42.
So how do we go from 16 coming here from the DR? Whoa, everybody's got cars. I just took my first hot shower, and now I'm striving towards mayor at 30.
So I get here and I'm going to Riverview High School. I met my wife in high school. We didn't date in high school, but I met her in high school, and I asked people. I'm like, I wasn't into college football, but I'm like, what's the best school to go to? They're like, hardest one to get into academically, Gators.
Boo.
Me, I'm like 2.5 GPA. I'm like, I'm gonna apply to the University of Florida. We're doing this. And I apply, and it was like crazy, ridiculous. I didn't have that money, but it was like, you had to, like, it was like a $40 application fee. I'm like, it's crazy. But I ended up paying, I got instantly denied.
By the post office for not paying $40.
2.52 GPA. I was like, I'm serious. Like, I wasn't really like the best student, and it wasn't because of intellect or because of, I just wasn't paying attention. Right. I was just partying 100%. Too much. Because hey, think about it, you're going somewhere new, and like it's, you have a couple years left. And in high school, you're exploring, you're learning, you're meeting people, and
I wasn't somewhere new, and I was still exploring. Exactly. I was from here, and I was still exploring.
And then I was raised by a single mom, and we had a come to Jesus moment where she was like, if you don't straighten up, I'm gonna murder you. And I was like, all right.
That's that Latina.
I know. And then where I did go, I went to Manatee Community College, which is our community
MCC,
college we had,
baby.
MCC, and it became State College of Florida. And when I applied, I literally saw, like, when you beat the game of solitaire, like the decks fall out, like I was instantly approved.
The card flushing.
The little flushing of the card. It was amazing.
he had the hats on.
Oddly satisfying.
He was actually sitting in front of a table. There was 3 hats. There was a manatee. There was a gator, and then there was like maybe a Seminole, and he was like, "Which one am I gonna pick?"
I think they're the manatee.
The manatee.
Yeah.
Can you name a Seminole or a gator, a famous one? No, but you can name a famous manatee. It's Snooty. I was there for the burial
service. I can name a
service.
couple. Tim Tebow.
Oh,
yeah. I think he means actual animal.
I think animal.
Oh, we're talking about the physical animal. No, I can't.
Yeah,
You're right. Okay.
No, so I went there and I turned my act around. I mean, there's really not much. There wasn't much to do at the time. So I kind of just worked and went to school, and you'll be surprised what you can accomplish when all you do is focus on school.
Or anything for that matter. But
so my GPA was like a 3.8, and I got into the University of Florida.
Good deal.
And then when you go to
what was your major?
Political science.
Did you have an idea of that before you went, though?
Yeah. I wanted to do political science, minored in communications. I wanted to do a double major in food and resource economics, and I took a bunch of courses, but I ended up I'm not doing any more semesters. Like, let me just graduate now and just go to law school because I'm going to burn out. And then.
Gotcha. So when you're going to school, when you're applying for colleges, was the end goal to become an attorney?
It was.
Okay.
I thought I was going to get a JD MBA at one point. I really wanted to do that. But one of my professors convinced me not to. He was just like, it's better, more impressive actually to get a JD and then get an LLM in business, which I didn't do. I just got a JD and I'm just like, I'm fucking done. Time to work.
Again, for a dumb roofer.
I'm ready to stop paying bills and
maybe I'm just a dumb insurance guy, but what the hell is a JD?
Juris Doctor.
Or Juris Doctor.
Wow. Look at this guy.
He did it. It's like, I don't know if you guys know this.
If you would have said the whole thing,
I don't know if you guys know this,
away.
but this guy went to law school.
Yeah, law school dropout.
Yeah.
Stetson probably class of
Kanye West would love to produce your next album.
Class of crying as I drive back over the Skyway from St. Pete.
Yeah, well, look, I saw how much you have on Venmo and on OnlyFans. I mean, like you blow it out of the water. You have more than most of these attorneys. You should be very proud.
Where were we?
You're always on a roof.
He brought up the gig economy, which is a good segue. What's your thoughts on, where we are today and the opportunity that exists for, somebody that's not from the United States of America, right? Somebody coming here at 16 years old, the income, the wage gap from, citizens, American citizens, and transplants.
Look, you hear people talk a lot of smack about America and Florida and Sarasota, but there's always going to be, people are always going to gripe about issues. It's a natural thing. The reality is that America is the greatest country in the world. We decided 2 world wars.
Even today.
And the side of freedom. We paved the way for a lot of for the women's rights movement that just spread internationally. We spread democracy. There's something called the third wave of democratization that happened. We have been a beacon of hope and freedom for the entire world. Right now, people talk about getting involved. We have to stay involved here locally and not forget about international. Internationally, we are the biggest gorilla in the room. And even though we can't technically bully the other gorillas, we can't go and invade a nation, we can make sure that they actually stay put. And that is, I think, our greatest strength as a country. Because if there is order internationally and nobody is feuding with each other, then our Publix has everything you need, and oil stays at a reasonable rate. And
you want stability.
You want stability. Yeah. So, but there's no right now. If I was in the Dominican Republic, still, I don't think I would be, a young mayor of a city, or I wouldn't have the experiences I've had. I don't think I would be a lawyer working at a firm, because America has the greatest upward mobility ever.
Opportunities afforded.
The opportunities are here, man. I remember I got help I did an internship for free. I worked for free when I was in high school for a law firm. They send me clients now. They're still mentors. It's your network. It's the ability to not get taxed to death. It's the ability to pursue these things and have the opportunity to, if you need to borrow a little bit of money to start your business or to get a degree, you can. And
systems of credit.
And people take advantage. They take that for granted.
Yeah.
Well, I love that too, because in the world I come from in insurance, with it being kind of eat what you kill a lot of times for a lot of individuals, you do hear a lot about the fairness, or it's hard, or my opportunity was different, or whatever. And I when I hear somebody coming from the DR, being here at 16, again, everyone's driving cars, which is very different than where you came from. I think okay, so how did you overcome that limited mindset? How did you overcome, because you basically because of your circumstances could only think so big, right? You weren't raised in the DR thinking you know what, I'm going to be president of the United States one day. Or maybe you were, but...
Can't be.
Well, okay.
I wasn't born.
Fair enough.
Natural born citizen.
Well,
right?
we might change. Who knows? You never know.
Who knows?
But the point is, your thinking was at some point semi-limited, albeit maybe more than most. You were probably thinking outside the box, thinking bigger, because you were thinking, okay, I'm going to go to the United States in 5 years, 8 years, whatever it was. But how do you overcome the limiting beliefs? How do you overcome I'm not from here, or, I've got less of an opportunity than others? Because in what I do, that's my goal every day, is to speak to somebody that feels like they didn't have the opportunity, right? And they kind of were a down and outer, or they, for whatever reason, didn't think they would be successful, defined as however they define it, right? That have overcome that. So how did you overcome that?
So I was a boxer growing up here. Tony Spain, who just passed away, was one of my trainers. And when you get knocked in the face, you either decide to get into it and you're actually more motivated, or you're out and you back down. And that is the same, I think, in life, right? It is a belief, and you have to figure out where you stand. Either life happens to you, or you are an active participant in life. People feel oh, you know what? I was born disadvantaged because I had a single mom, and my dad was never there, and we were poor, and we came from another country, and let's say whatever, we got evicted, or whatever problem you had, and they'll say, you know what? The system is working against me. I can't do anything, whatever. And this is, and look, I do business and estate planning. I'm a lawyer, and I deal with a lot of individuals with very successful companies and very high net worths. And the mentality is these things make you stronger. When life happens to you, something bad, you adjust. It only makes it like, it doesn't matter that you started the race like a mile behind. That just means you have to work twice as hard to catch up.
Right.
And then when you do catch up, you're running twice as fast as everybody else. So it's about not giving up, and you know, it is a mentality thing. Some people have a victim mentality, right? I feel like a lot of this stuff today, you know, they talk about equality, but they don't really want equality. They want they don't want to give people equal opportunity.
You know what equality means, right? Mm-hmm. Equality means that you have the same opportunity that I have, and therefore you can't. If I'm ahead of you, you can never argue the fact that I had any sort of advantage.
That's it.
So I am ahead of you because I had some sort of unfair advantage.
That's equality.
But if equality exists, there's no unfair advantage.
That is equality. For some people, equality is just, you know what, we're gonna have a department where we're gonna hire people based on basically based on gender and race. Like we're just, all right, just check a box. Like there's 200 some countries in the world. All right, here you go. You're Somalia, got it. Check a box. All right, where are you from? Vietnam. Check a box. And that's not what equality is. That's not providing opportunities for on a grand scale.
Right.
They say equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You want to give equality 100%. Of opportunity.
Exactly.
All right. You want to get back to Sarasota a little bit?
Maybe.
Let's do it.
All right. I got a Sarasota question for you. What's your take on all these roundabouts?
Love it.
Only those watching in Sarasota will understand the depth of that question.
When I first ran for office, I was like, you know what, I'm not sold on the roundabouts. And you have to understand, like, how roundabouts are, it's kind of like a bad word. Like, people don't like them because some people don't know how to use them. The reality is, we have some of the most dangerous intersections in the country here, some of them. And like the major ones. Roundabouts, there's no other mechanism for traffic that reduces casualties by over 90% more than a roundabout.
Right.
Not only that, but they're cost effective. They don't go down when the grid is down in the event of a hurricane or something.
It's not based on power.
Also, we have people that are way smarter than us telling us that this is what happens. Like, you know, when people come out, like you have like 5 people come out, like, you know what, we hate roundabouts because they're terrible and they're round and
they're different.
And then you have a guy that's
I
like,
have to look up from my phone because I have to go around the roundabout. It's not good.
And then you have a dude that's like, I have a PhD in roundabouts, and like I'm telling you, this is what I got my doctorate. You know, your choice becomes a lot easier.
My house is round. Mm-hmm. My living room is round.
Traffic is a very, very complex thing. Like trying to solve, like a lot of people were like, oh, add more lanes. Adding more lanes to solve traffic is like loosening your seatbelt to lose weight. It doesn't work. What you need to do is think of traffic as a funnel. And think of our roads as a funnel and traffic as the water, right? If you increase water, it's going to overflow. But if you slow the water like just enough, everything just flows smoothly. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what roundabouts do. They slow it down so it all flows smoothly. So we're incorporating some awesome things in Sarasota. That we're going to be incorporating some AI, actually, like street lights. Okay. That are going to monitor traffic. They're like the Rolls Royce of streetlights. They're ridiculously expensive. Don't even ask how much. But they're
dive more into that. What capabilities does that have to improve traffic?
Well, St. Pete has some already, and we have some already too. But what they're able to do is right now, for example, all of our traffic is coordinated from a command center in Manatee County, like one county over. Some person, I'm assuming, is just like just checking.
Who died and made Manatee County king of Sarasota streets?
You know, you should be more involved.
A lot on this podcast.
The fact that you weren't involved in the community, that's why it happened. And and when you switch if you change the algorithm, it impacts everything else, and everything else is messed up. It's like a weird like game of like whack-a-mole. It's like so you're constantly trying to solve.
Knock one down over here, comes up
exactly.
Over there.
And so, and you have this algorithm, right, that is running. Well, guess what? We don't have just one Sarasota. We have like season and not season, where we literally like double in size. So the algorithm doesn't work throughout.
Right.
So we need something that adapts according to the
Wow,
traffic and monitors it.
That's really good, yeah.
So that's what's going to end up happening, and we won't need the grid anymore. And plus, you love these roundabouts, and they're gonna help with traffic because you don't need someone flipping a switch for that.
Yeah, I don't hate roundabouts now.
I'm like Switzerland on the roundabouts because they've never really hurt my feelings when I go around them, but there is always somebody. Well,
you got to get off. You're right though. You got to get off the phone.
You got to get off your phone.
Okay,
but there's also always somebody that doesn't know how to freaking just get into the roundabout. It's like, hey, that car is getting in over there. You can get in here. Like, you don't have to wait. It's not a stoplight. It's always go for the most part. What throws me off when it comes to roundabouts,
you yield if someone's about to hit you.
Is the one roundabout over here on freaking Fruitville or whatever
that shoots you out the longboat
that has a light at it. It's like, is this a roundabout or are we at a stoplight? I'm confused.
That's for pedestrians.
Oh, well, see, it got me. It confused me because I'm like, red light, am I supposed to stop? Am I supposed to go?
No, that's for pedestrians to cross.
What I want to talk about is when the construction was going. I drive a lot for work. And I'd look up from my phone,
bringing up the past,
and I'm going out the longboat.
Stop. That's a joke.
All right, so let's halt this podcast and remind our viewers that this episode is sponsored by the Department of Transportation in Florida. And remember, texting and driving is illegal.
Not allowed.
So put the phones away, drive safely, pay attention. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
So we spent a lot of time talking about kind of the past and where you came from and some of the things you've done, which are pretty fucking cool, by the way. But you even dropped a stat earlier about like Procter & Gamble CEO, not a stat, but before that there was a stat, but Procter & Gamble CEO. I don't know very many people that have a pulse on Sarasota like you do. Even from the last time we were here, bringing in the whiskey guys who might put a facility here, which we don't have to disclose if you don't want to, whatever. But like all of this stuff going on, where do you see Sarasota the next, year, 2 years? Because there's without a doubt a boom going on here. Like maybe same in Texas, whatever, but Sarasota is definitely a spot to be. So where do you see us in like 12 months, 18 months, 24 months compared to where it is today? Because we've seen a lot of change the last 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. So I know we're not done.
All right, without getting too into the weeds, on May 10th, 1800 is when the government started officially selling land publicly to everyone. 18 years later, there was a peak in sales and there was a crash. 18 years after that, peak in sales, crash, and so forth. Like 1989, 2007, and you would argue one would be happening now. There's always been a cycle. The reason we don't keep and attract young people here, it's not because we don't have a fun downtown. We have some amazing restaurants, like top 15 restaurants in the country. We just got like 99 Bottles just got named one of the best great beer places in the entire country. That's insane. And it's right here. It's walking distance. Some of the top 15 fish restaurants in Florida, right here in Sarasota. So we have amazing amenities. It's just people can't afford to live here. We have some things happening at the city commission level. So in the next 12 months, you'll see some changes to the zoning code, which allow people to, hopefully, right? There's going to be a vote, and we don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully it'll allow for increased density, different types of housing, like we were talking about. It'll allow for lower parking, no parking minimums like downtown, and you could just build something and. Like in New York, and not necessarily have to provide like parking all over the place in the same lot.
Like parking spaces per square foot or parking spaces per table.
And especially in the downtown core, you can eliminate that because I'll tell you what, I'll solve your traffic problem here in Sarasota. If you let the hospital and Sarasota County, the two largest employers, build like 1,000 units for their employees,
we have tons of parking.
And the employees moved here. That's it. The two largest employers have their people that just live like walking distance to work.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying if you let them build and allow their employees to
near
walk,
their employer,
they will get their cars off the street.
Because most people are commuting for work.
Yeah, and we just revamped. We have a public transportation system, SCAT, right? The Sarasota County.
That exists. Wow.
Yeah.
So we used to have a bunch of buses that were just riding empty all day.
Right.
And they revamped
Rightly
it a couple
so.
years
Would
ago.
you
I had
ride it?
nothing to do with it.
Would you ride it?
I used to take it to middle school. Keep going.
So listen. So
That's why Trey's here.
so they have so what they did is they kind of made it so they basically made the routes smaller, so you had more frequency in terms of when the buses came, and they had these main routes that were just you get in there in 5 minutes, you had a bus, and what they're transitioning to this right now, and you basically have an Uber, so you can like call someone and they'll take you to a main hub that'll get you in one of these like 5-minute interval loops. But if you're going to Publix, let's say, and you call SCAT right now, there's this amazing program. They changed the name of it. It's called Breeze now.
Okay.
Much
And,
sketchier than scat, anyways. You know, scat is like fecal matter.
You know,
right?
these people, the people they.
I mean, that's facts.
When State College of Florida came, the initials were SCOFF. It was nobody calls it that.
Yeah,
I still do. So, but if you're going to Publix and you call this Uber, SCAT, Breeze person, they'll pick you up. And if on the way to the station where you're going to eventually get dropped off, there is a Publix, they're authorized to just take you to Publix, just drop you right back on.
That's sweet.
And it's amazing. If it's closer than the hub.
It's a free Uber.
And it saves money. And it's not free. It's greatly reduced. But
it's a much reduced Uber.
It's like 25 cents. Yeah, whatever it is, 50 cents. It's much better.
It'd be Uber XXXXXXL.
But we need high density hubs of homes and people and professionals along these transportation big routes. We need amenities in neighborhoods.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it may be a kind of a mistaken identity. Like it may be an identity crisis that Sarasota is in the middle of, which is, are we a metro city or are we a rural county? And I think right now we're in between, but I think we're moving more towards a metro city. Albeit not like a New York, not like a
we could be better,
massively metro city.
We could be more attractive and better than St. Pete.
I agree.
But we are sort of in this crossroads where we have to decide how we want to be as a community. Because every time anything gets proposed to increase the height of buildings, you have 100 people that show up that live within a mile of downtown that are going to be affected by this, mostly retired, who don't work downtown. The people that are working, and even if they weren't working, a lot of them don't show up in support of this. So what voice do you predominantly hear? The very, very vocal minority.
They have that Yellowstone stance, We don't want progress.
Yeah. It's a thing they call. It's a very common thing. They call it NIMBYism, and but we have so many people in our community that just want more. They want more business and activity, and they want the young people to come here.
Right.
I'm so excited for what's to come, and we wouldn't have if we had like a 5-hour podcast, we wouldn't have enough time to talk about everything that's coming. We have like restaurants coming on the water here. We have a $300 million park coming. We're redoing Bobby Jones. That's a
that's pretty cool.
$20+ million project. Redoing Bobby Jones, municipal golf course, basically accessible to everyone. You don't need to be a part of a special country club. And we're going to have a park on top of that. And communities don't have that. I mean, I go to these League of City events, and these communities, some of them can't even afford water right now. I mean, we do our own water. We have the Verna well fields. We actually sell our water to the city of Sarasota to other places. That's how well we do it. But other places cannot. And just like landlords, right? Their rent got jacked up, and these communities, small communities, can't afford water right now.
That's cool.
But we are blessed to live in a place where we can put $300 million on a park, and we can replace our roads.
What park is that?
The Bay Park,
Okay.
Bayfront.
Yeah.
The Bay Sarasota. And we're doing it, and guess what? We're not even increasing anybody's taxes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Can you believe that?
No, I love it. And honestly, I don't think there's an entrepreneur in town or a business owner in town that wouldn't want to attract more young, willing, and able employees, right? Talented employees, and have a place for them to live and stay, that they could walk to their work and everything else. So how do we, and I think it's a perfect segue into, kind of what Trey and I started this podcast for, is to highlight some of those entrepreneurs, highlight some of those business owners. But over the next couple years, we'll just say,
Yeah.
in the immediate future. How do we accomplish that aside from?
It's going to happen
Get the word
regardless. I mean, we have a piano bar coming downtown, like a champagne piano bar. We have just amazing business. We have a Corona cigar coming, sponsored by Corona Cigar. This episode, Corona Cigar Company, largest like cigar hall, and we have a bunch of sponsors. You didn't
Bunch
know.
of sponsors.
Yeah.
So many.
Whoever I think about, that's the sponsor. Heinz ketchup,
Heinz
52
ketchup.
flavors, tomatoes or something like that. So we have these things coming here. We're gonna have a free trolley that you can literally track on your app that'll take you all the way to the barrier island.
Yeah.
It's a free open air trolley. That's new. We found a funding source for that. We have electric bikes. That wasn't a thing before. We have outdoor dining for restaurants. That wasn't a thing before, and a lot of people wanted to get rid of that. But I think it makes us more interesting, right?
Absolutely.
And it's a thing that we're going to make permanent. We're going to make it as a matter of right.
Half the time when I go out to dinner, I want to go somewhere, or lunch, dinner, whatever. I want to go somewhere with outdoor seating. So,
Most cities, everybody capitalizes on the resource, which is the waterfront view. Well, in Sarasota, it's a weird layout because the tallest buildings you can build in Sarasota, which is capped at 18 stories, like half of what like St. Pete does.
So St. Pete,
Over twice as much.
Yeah, 30.
And it doesn't even feel that much bigger, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
they have wider sidewalks, they have bigger buildings, and we need that. We do need it. But what they do, we have it where it's like we're like a bowl. Like the tallest buildings are the ones on the waterfront. Everybody else behind them can only build 10 stories.
Wow.
So we go 18 stories, 10, and then so you're like when you're going over the bridge, you look at Sarasota, it's like
Play devil's advocate. Why is it like that? Because you
it's
just
all
said it and we don't think it makes
money.
sense.
because people don't like change. We literally talked about it last year. We talked about increasing height in the downtown core, increasing it to be matched the other one, 18, maybe higher, as an incentive for workforce housing. People came out, hundreds of people. They were just against it. A lot of people were in favor, but some elected officials, what really angers me is elected officials who, for example, on roundabouts or whatever, they know the data, they have the experts, they know what the right thing to do is, and like 10 people show up and they
cower.
They
fucking cower.
They cower, and they're like, I'm sorry, I can't do it, and they kick it down the road for some other decision maker to be scared of the people, right? It's a very, very vocal minority. The vast majority of people want this stuff to happen. We need taller buildings to maximize on our water views. You go over the bridge, you look at this beautiful, waterfront, and you see all these beautiful buildings, right?
Giant,
and behind that is like 2-story buildings of our downtown. And we need to redo that. We need to it's going to be like Sarasota's Renaissance, but we need entrepreneurs and young people, and we need everyone to kind of be on board with this. And even our city staff and our county staff, we need them to be on board with this.
Gotcha. So you think if we lay the infrastructure will help act as a catalyst to make this happen? You think it'll inevitably happen, but getting the infrastructure right is very important.
And we are. Height is going to be tough, I'll tell you. We are increasing.
For who? You, me?
Height it's going to be tough to pass.
It's ironic.
It's going to be height to implement. It's going to be hard to implement. So
what are the barriers for height? Just
there's a million layers in government. Just a million. Like for example, I got elected. I'm like, all right, City of Sarasota.
I'm the mayor. Let's
Easy.
build
Let's
high.
do this.
I'm the mayor. There's a pothole in Lockwood Ridge. Let's fix it
I was 16
right now.
and I moved here.
Let's fix it. Yeah, pothole number 7. Let's fix it right now. Guess what? That's a county road. So you got to call the county, even though it's in the city, to fix a county road. Bay Vista, Tuttle, those are all county roads. Then I'm like, all right, there's a pothole or there's something. I want to put a bus bench on Fruitville. Well, guess what? That's managed by the Department of Transportation because it's like a state road. It's insane. Bee Ridge State Road, 301, Tamiami. So what's left? Like the other roads, like the neighborhood roads,
Main Street, First Street, Second Street.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's just crazy. There's so many layers. So in order for us to do something about, let's say, height, first of all, we need to have a vote here of the city commission. It needs to pass by 4 out of 5 votes. And then that's to change the comprehensive plan. Think of the comprehensive plan like the Constitution of Sarasota City. And then it gets sent to the state. And the state has to approve it. And then we have to vote on it again to ratify that. And then After that is done, which is where we are on a lot of stuff, then because the Constitution is passed, now we have to change the ordinances, right? The statutes that govern all this. We have to change the zoning code to implement all these changes. So you have to change it in 2 different places. Everything requires multiple hearings, public hearings, where everybody's going to come out and they're going to voice their displeasure for these things. And if you try to please everyone, you're not going to win. You're not. But you know what? The same people that are coming out against this now are the same people that were against the orchestra going to Payne Park. It's the same people that were against the Selby Gardens. They were against the Quay. These are the same people that were originally against the library being built. They're the same people that were against the bridge being built. They were the same people that were against the dolphin statue coming up on the bayfront. Like, you're always going to have that. And if you allow a very, very vocal minority to control policy, it's not going to get anywhere. So we need strong people of all different ages and backgrounds to run for office. Just people who have moral convictions, who listen to experts, look at the facts, and they vote. And they're not scared of like 10 people that come and yell at them.
I love that. So in all of this, it's cool because we didn't really plan it. We just kind of jumped right into it. And
ChatGPT planned it because you wrote an entire script that we have not gone on.
It helped. And you know, if we had another 4 hours, we would get into AI and all of, I mean, honestly, actually, I do want to get into that real quick. And then I want to talk about how the podcast ties into that mission, because it's funny how it really does. But I'm interested in where you're at now. And I want you to talk freely about where you're at now, what you're doing, because some of the conversations we've had over the last few weeks and months have been pretty eye-opening, because I didn't know this was even impact. I mean, insurance is slow moving. The legal field is also slow moving. I didn't think the AI stuff was really, a factor there. Yeah. And it sounds like it is. So what's your next big move?
We made a small change to our, what's called the city plan, right? What do they call it? The Sarasota, the strategic plan is what they call it. We added being a smart city to it. That means that now we're going to want, I don't know if everybody fully understood what that meant, but staff knows. And it means smart utilities. So when a pipe breaks anywhere ever. It means smart traffic. It means people can get home and they're like, hey, Alexa, can you tell the city of Sarasota that they forgot to pick up my trash? It is.
That's great.
It is having a rendering of the city, 3D rendering, that when we have a building coming, people can see what that building is going to look like, what traffic's going to look like. So it's not just in people's minds, because every time something comes, they think of the most intense and worst version of that, and it really ruins it, because they're like, oh, it's a huge building. I can only imagine, right? Which is, they're letting their imaginations run wild. So all that is coming. AI is going to really revolutionize the city of Sarasota. We've taken that torch and we're running with it more than any other municipality that I can think of. Young people are going to want to come here. Workforce housing is coming. Jobs are coming.
You think we're pretty high up there, like countrywide? Like Sarasota's kind of ahead of the curve?
We're ahead of the curve countrywide. We're ahead of the curve in terms of public safety. Wow. We're at record lows right now in terms of most criminal numbers, right? Statistics. Most cities throughout the country have about 2.5 police officers per 1,000 residents. We have almost 3.5.
Wow.
It's crazy. We just blow it out of the water. We have so many, we invest so much, like $40+ million a year just on public safety. And we only have 200+ police officers.
Right.
So we really, give them the resources that they need. We take care of them with pensions because, of course, they're putting their life on the line. But Sarasota is the place to be. If you can find a place in Sarasota, you can bet your ass. I'm allowed to say ass.
You can say
that
whatever.
It's gonna go up in value. It's the place to invest. It's the place where venture capital is figuring this out. We're getting people from New York, California. We're getting people from Miami investing in Sarasota. So this is the place to be. You're gonna want to raise your family here. You're gonna want to raise, create your business and do all that here in Sarasota.
I love it.
Well, hot damn, that's a pretty strong pitch.
I love it. I mean, that's a clip for sure. Clip that, When it comes to...
Hey, Brad, you want to veer to more of his other job?
Well, I was teeing it up for him.
Yeah.
I am.
You teed it up for him for the
if
for
you
his
want
business,
to. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm a lawyer.
I want to hear about the transition you're making. If you want to talk about it.
Yeah,
If it's
law
too
firm's
soon,
called
whatever.
Arroyo McCardle, and we do estate planning and we do business law. If you want to go to our website, it's expensivelawyers.com, and which is redundant because all lawyers are expensive. But
I don't think that pitch is as strong as the one you made for Sarasota.
well, you're gonna forget. Are you gonna forget my website? I'm gonna ask you in a month if you remember my website.
It's memorable.
It's
for
very
sure.
memorable. I can't remember any other law firm site ever.
Yeah,
But
that's
people
probably.
remember that, and that was the point, right? Just the law needs to be disrupted, and we're gonna do that here in this community. I mean, I'm very, very excited for what's to come.
I have insurancesucks.com, so I mean, you need roofingsucks.com too to tie it all in. I mean, insurance sucks, and
thought you had-
How about leakyroof.com?
yeah, leaky roof,
Onlyroofs.com.
leaky roof. Well, before we wrap up, I want to know how a couple of guys like me and Trey, born and raised here in Sarasota,
Yeah.
right? Like grew up here. Love the community, and honestly, I didn't love the community as much as I love the community now growing up because I didn't realize how amazing it was. I moved to Orlando. You said Orlando probably number one. I moved to Orlando for like 3.5 years or 3 years.
Number two, but
And it was, I was like, man, I can't wait to get back home,
You don't realize what you got until you move away.
100%.
I moved to Pennsylvania for college, and that was a culture shock. It
you
was
also
like,
went to FSU.
Good grief.
Well, and that was it's a saving grace that we ever got him back from Tallahassee.
No, he was a star
it's a
quarterback.
tough
Were you a
place.
quarterback? He was something.
I played strong safety at Lafayette.
Strong safety roofing.
Let's get back to your law firm.
Strong safety roofing.
It was strong
You
safety.
guys sponsored this podcast.
Yeah, but then
strong safety
we
roofing.
dropped the safety.
It's just called strong roofing now.
Yeah.
Because you play all the.
I love it. I love you play all this.
So what separates your firm from your competition? Why? If I'm looking for legal advice or
Well, look, the fact of the matter is a lot of attorneys are retiring, right? With baby boomers all coming as a cohort retiring, there's going to be a huge opportunity for everything, for every business. I'm taking this opportunity to do the law and do it. I'm just trying to see how more efficiently, how I can incorporate AI into it, how I can run a lean law firm that's smart, up to date. Things that would have taken, me like 8 years ago would have taken me like with 3 people to do, I can do now in like 30 seconds.
That's awesome. Now speak to how that affects your billable hours.
Well,
From a client's perspective.
from a client's perspective, I'm not billing you to do all these tasks.
Yeah.
I'm billing by the hour. It's actually more cost effective. Even though you're paying, it's expensivelawyers.com, but it's all lawyers are expensive. The reality is that if you have a lawyer that is not going to just write you letters nonstop and emails nonstop, like really long emails, just to reallyLongEmails.com
milkingtheclock.com.
Yeah, just build the clock, right? I hate that.
milkingtheclock.com.
I mean, we need to get away. Everybody in general, like you guys do it. Get away from like fee for service, like
Now more performance
billing by
based.
the hour. Yeah, because if I'm billing by the hour, my entire goal, right, is just to bill you, like take as long as possible.
Yeah,
But
so in your world, billing by the hour, you're saying you're no longer
Providing-
on the same page with the client. Your interests aren't aligned.
Exactly.
Right.
But for example, if I give you a flat rate of like, I'm going to do your work for $10,000 and like, if I can finish that work in 5 hours and I can finish it in like a week and 2 days, what am I going to do? Right. My interest is to do this as quickly as possible, efficiently for you. So that's why I prefer that. I like doing flat fees. I don't like fee for service. A lot of what I do, like trust work, it's usually a percentage of assets. Probate is a percentage of assets. The drafting trust, I usually try to give flat fees. Probate, percentage of assets. And of course, like corporate transactions and all that, usually, I'll try to give a flat.
That's
flat fee for
awesome,
that.
man. You keep your interests aligned with your clients. I like that a lot.
For sure. So help us help you, okay? And by you, I don't really mean you personally. I just mean kind of that like you have a good pulse of the community and whatnot. Our goal is obviously to highlight the Sarasota community, highlight entrepreneurs, highlight the movers and shakers of Sarasota. No offense to retirees, but a mover and a shaker, the first person I think of is probably not someone who's retired, right?
Yeah.
It is the working classes, the entrepreneurs, the business owners, the celebrities of our town. if you're in our shoes and you're kind of pushing this narrative, where do you think we go with this? Kind of just speak to, from your knowledge of our community and the needs, right? Where could we fill some needs in the community with a podcast like Sarasota Speaks?
So look, listen, Verizon Up magazine named Sarasota as the second best place in the country to start a business. We are very business friendly. We have lowered our business, we lower the number of fees you have to pay to get started in business. We facilitate a lot of things for small up and comers. We try to incubate. We have business incubators in town that you can rent office space for minimal amount. You have so many, because of all the CEOs, we have all this knowledge in Sarasota where you just meet 500 people and you have a solid foundation to start your business. You all have a great platform here, and incentivizing the younger population, the next, not big developers, the guys that buy, don't not people that build thousands of homes, but like, if you want to build like a home or two or three or a fourplex, that opportunity in Sarasota right now, because if you look at downtown, it's two-story homes.
Right.
All of these zoning changes that are coming are not going to be for the current builders to take advantage of. It's going to be for the next generation, like entrepreneur developers that want to just build 2-3 units, rent them out, and get a few $1,000s in rent every month, and it'll pay itself off in a few years. Like, and it makes sense. Whichever way you cut it, it makes sense, and it's coming. That's where I would focus: incubating businesses, investing in workforce housing. You're doing good for the economy, for the community, and for yourself. So that's what, and thank you for spreading the message. You guys are awesome, and I've known both of you for some time. I've known Strong Roofing since before, when it was Strong Safety Roofing.
Strong Safety Roofing. That's actually something.
Where can we get a I'm on a roof shirt?
You buy. Hey, listen, this is a one-time deal.
It's a merch site.
You buy a roof from me, you get the shirt for free.
Oh, that's a deal. That's a deal.
Is there a special code when we go to the website?
Well, the next shirts are actually the one thing the flaw I have with this design right now is I don't have the Strong Roofing emblem on the front. So the next one's
put it
right
on the side
there.
here.
I'm gonna come right there. I think Adidas does it similar right there.
Or put it on the back. On the back, right on the arm.
You don't have to put it anywhere. I'm on a roof. When you see that, you think Strong Roofing. I mean, you just know.
I'm doing my job then.
When you see "Just Do It" on a sign without the Nike check, do you think about, I wonder what company that is? So you're doing a good job.
That makes me blush, bro.
I'm on a roof. That's all that matters. We're going to pretend this is the baton here. We're going to pass you the baton for a minute. Okay, this is me. This is me knighting you with the baton.
Okay, cool.
Which means that Trey and I are now in the hot seat, and the mic is yours for questions. So we want to pass it to you to ask us a few questions, if you would, about kind of the direction of the podcast or off topic. I mean, hey, we're not in politics, so we may not be as eloquent as you, but we'll try.
Do you guys make YouTube videos?
You'll see this on YouTube, absolutely.
It'll be on YouTube. Do you make TikToks?
I personally have never gone down the TikTok road.
I've never made a TikTok either.
We can do it, but it won't be me and my data being shared with China. So,
how are you picking like the people you're bringing on here?
Well, I mean, we vetted you through quite a process, didn't we? You passed.
I think you guys just like messaged me on
my
MySpace page.
So naturally, a lot of them are going to be like people that we find interesting that we have personal relationships, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to be the first wave of people.
And I mean, I said it. Trey and I are from here, right? Collectively, 70 years of Sarasota-based knowledge, right?
I thought it was 95.
70, I believe, is a good estimation as far as where we're at.
Oh, in terms of living Sarasota experience.
Combined living experience. Combined living experience in Sarasota, probably about 70 years. So I think we got a pretty good pulse on the community and who is the movers and shakers. Mm-hmm. So the first step is you have to impress Trey and I, right?
It's very difficult.
You've done that, so great job. So be nice. You got the hot seat. I mean, he used to have
a podcast where he just took his shirt off and talked for 2 hours.
Hey man, if I have one regret in life, I didn't take my shirt off enough when I had that body, right? Because it's the opposite now. I don't want to take my shirt off.
Oh,
so
things change.
Listening to the naysayers, I should have never
Success made
hesitated.
you comfortable.
I should have had my shirt off
Should've
at
never
every
stopped.
opportunity. I wish I had it off more. I wish I had more pictures with my shirt off.
Have you, a question for you. Have you ever ended up at the Stagger Inn at 3 a.m?
If I knew where the Stagger Inn was,
It was
I
in
probably
downtown
would've-
Orlando. Come on.
Oh, then no, I haven't.
Come on.
Still, no, I didn't go out there.
didn't?
I moved to Orlando to plant a church. I was a youth pastor, or not ordained, but I was working to be a youth pastor. So,
So you can marry
never-
people. You're ordained.
Well, anybody can marry people. You just fill out a freaking piece of paper online. It's
Certificate or
easy. Yeah,
something.
it's easy.
No, it was very difficult.
But I never ended up at the Stagger
did
Inn. and I lived in Orlando for 3
www.getordainedtoday.com.
years, and I was relatively low key there.
Okay.
You
It
know,
wasn't until I moved
So
back home
you became
and
a
got
party
rekindled.
animal when you came here.
Yeah, when I got back with
When
my
you have the kids and the
yeah, well, the kids they'll do.
you have a nice RV now. Are you going to do a podcast episode on the RV?
We're thinking
it's a very
about,
nice RV. By the
We're
way.
thinking about starting a family YouTube channel of just RV travels. I never thought the trailer park life was for me, but trailer park life is for me.
And are you going to do an episode of a podcast on a roof?
That's a good idea.
Well, here, that kind of
Holy, hang on a second. That's a good
You
idea.
guys are welcome.
Yes, we will, but the roof will be like 1-800 Ask Gary
flat,
or
yeah.
maybe Eric's
a
or
roof
somebody.
of someone. We're
It'll be
interviewing.
like
Yeah.
a very, pristine balcony.
Okay.
We would call that.
Yeah, so touching on that, the reason we did this is because we could sit around and I could talk about roofs. He could talk about insurance, but none of that's as interesting as interviewing guests such as
It
yourself.
is. You guys,
know?
you're hilarious. You gotta. I know your sense of humor. I've known you for a long time.
I do enough talking about insurance on the other YouTube channels and other stuff we do. He's I don't know if you follow his roofing content, but it's hilarious.
How is ChatGPT gonna enhance your roofing services?
It's cool. So the one way that I've found so far is I can use it to create written content to put on my website to drive traffic from Google. I have pretty sophisticated software I use for my quotes. So I can write, it will write me pros and cons of a standing seam metal roof versus a 5V metal roof, and it will lay it all out right there. I don't have to think about it. I just check to make sure it's
Look at him,
accurate.
he's tapped into it
and
for
I
sure.
stick it on my quote, right? And then, Mrs. Jones, she's reading, he's the expert on roofing. It's verified. We'll go with him.
Or when someone writes you an email, they're like, "Hey, I need you to do my roof for $1,000." You're like, "Hey, ChatGPT, can you say hell no in a very professional way?
Yeah.
Write a professional email."
Well, on a serious note, we have the our CRM has automated follow-ups. So
Okay.
the chat GTP could clean up some of the language that we use for
Okay.
the follow-up emails as well.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's
And you're expanding like crazy. You're expanding like crazy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Especially locally. I mean, that's the reason for this podcast at this time, because I don't need more busy work. I don't need more things to do, nor do you, right? Like, I mean, nobody needs just more things to do for fun. We all have our fun, I'm sure. But my initiative this year was to make more of an impact locally, because I've been so focused on, recruiting agents nationwide. I've been recruiting, I've been selling insurance nationwide over the phone. I'm not limited to Florida, right? So because of that, made a decent local impact and a more national impact. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm from this area. I want to bring more jobs. I want to bring more opportunity. I want to help more policy holders as well, especially in the Medicare space. And so what better way to do it than just to start talking more about Sarasota and becoming more of somebody of influence in the community, much like you've done, and you've been here half as long as I have. So
I haven't even done a podcast.
Well,
is this your first
congratulations.
podcast?
No, it's my second.
Second.
Second podcast appearance. I did the Gulf
Hey,
Coast
if this
Builders
is good,
Exchange.
if you
That
think
was
he's
great.
pretty good at podcasts, just let us know in the comments if you should do some more podcasts.
And then
But
I'll just do the interview.
I'm gonna tee one up for you here from the show notes, right? Courtesy of ChatGPT.
What's that?
Can you read us, if you would, this question here?
I have your glasses.
Number 7, right?
7.
So can you read us number 7, please?
As hosts of a podcast focused on local entrepreneurs and celebrities, who are some of the guests you are most excited to interview in the future, and
That's
why?
a great. You know what? That's a great question.
Great
and I'm
question, Eric.
No, yes.
I'm so glad you asked that question, Eric, because we'd actually talked about this a little bit, and we
I
want
wish you
your
would have sent me
we-
these questions.
I wish you would have too. The producer was supposed to send you these questions. If he didn't, We'll get a new producer. It's not a big deal. The producers are like all over the place.
It's in there.
No
It's
big
probably,
deal.
you know.
I'm glad you asked this question.
It's probably not in my spam folder, in my main folder. I just haven't read it.
I want your input on who you think we should have after we hear from Trey, and then I'll drop a couple too. But
Yeah,
I want to
so-
hear from Trey who you think we should have on the show.
For me, the name that comes to mind right away is Gary Compa. You know, you guys know him. He started 1-800-ASK Gary, and it's wildly successful. You know, it's a great business. But not only is it successful, but he created a niche in a market that didn't exist before him, right? He saw a need for a lawyer referral service, and he took it, he ran with it, and now he's the leader in the industry, and he has people copycatting his.
Yeah, no one's ever really done it before him.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, I'm a roofer, you know, but people have been roofers before I was a roofer. He's an insurance agent. He owns an insurance agency. People have done that before.
Yeah.
What's awesome about Gary is that
Not as well, but
not as well as Brad, but
no, or you.
so what's awesome about Gary is he created that business. You know, he had the idea. He paved the way for other people rather than following people that paved the way for him.
Yeah. And I'm going to go more the celebrity route, right? I know Trey's best friends with all the crew of Siesta Key. And really, like, Siesta Key put a spotlight on Sarasota for good, for better, for worse.
He's been on a couple episodes.
So who do you think, right, in your opinion?
Question,
I just said Siesta Key crew.
Oh, the entire crew. Jesus.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, started with, you know. Maybe.
No, there's so many amazing entrepreneurs in this community. I'll tell you the names of who I would, like, if I were in your shoes, I would. I think Jeremy Schwimmer is a guy in town who's amazing. I think Eric Baird would be a great one. He sold the company and a very successful guy in town.
He's actually our next guest.
Is he? Awesome. And then you have, Urban Meyer lives in town. You know him.
Yeah, he just played in Longboat Key.
He's Eric Baird's neighbor.
Yeah. Yep. They all live next to each other. Yeah, you know, you have.
Does he count though? I mean, let's. Does
you want local people?
Where do we draw the line? Because Urban, love him, right? He's in Gainesville, whatever. But does he count as Sarasota? Or do we have to keep Urban on the outs?
Right? What attracted him? What attracts success?
That's a good question. That's why we bring him on the show, maybe to talk about what attracted him. But we have to let him know that
a guy like that can live wherever he wants.
Yeah, we didn't want him. We didn't want him. He came to us, right? So we got to make that clear.
I would bring a guy named Ed Renzi in here, former CEO of McDonald's. He's great. He'd be a great speaker. I would bring a guy named A.G. Lafley, former CEO of Procter & Gamble in here. He helps volunteers for one of our parks. I mean, this guy,
that's awesome.
Literally lauded as one of the best CEOs in the history of CEOs, was like one of the highest paid CEOs in the history of Wall Street, like $26 million a year, like before stock options. And amazing, right? 30
Another
year career.
$26 million a year in stock options.
without stock options. And then we have some amazing women too in our community that are extremely impressive. You know, you have Katherine Harris. She was Secretary of State, Congresswoman, State Senator, lives in town right here.
That's pretty cool.
You have, a lady named Kim Githler in town has just been around for a long time. Used to own the Hyatt, owns the Money Show. You have Mary Doherty, who runs the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange. You have Elizabeth Moore, who runs the Elizabeth Moore Open. There are so many people in this town. You literally just like throw a nickel out there, and you will hit someone that is noteworthy, because this is a town where everybody is somebody.
Yeah.
We might want to hire Eric as our recruiter.
I believe so. Yeah. And I don't think
ExpensiveRecruiters.com.
And I don't think there's anybody doing And I don't think there's anybody doing what we're talking about doing, what we are doing in interviewing.
And Felipe Colon and John Colon, get them both together in the same room, because they have such synergy.
Yeah.
And they always get along, and they never argue.
We'll have them sitting right there bickering for 45 minutes.
I think he's a future co-host, actually. So. Oh man, I love it. Well, if nothing else, we've had a great time and appreciate it. And from the bottom of my heart, probably from the bottom of Trey's heart, I'll let him share. I won't take the mic from him, but from the bottom of my heart, for sure, it means a lot to do something that could potentially give back to a community that's given a lot to me. And it did take me moving away to realize that, like Trey said, moving away, realize what I had here, and being back here. Love this community, want to give back to this community in a big way, and I'm excited to see the growth that we know is coming, right? It's inevitable. It's kind of a matter of how
do we shape it?
How do we want to, how do we shape it, but also how fluid do we want this growth to be? Like how much do we want to let this growth just happen, right? And get behind the mics, get behind the podcast, get behind the I don't know what you call them, but the town halls, the meetings where all of the naysayers show up, but the people like myself and Trey really need to, make an appearance and get involved. And
involved, send videos.
I've learned a lot just
bring legislators
in
here, bring others.
Yeah. I'm inspired to get involved, and I think you pulled back the curtain for plans of Sarasota.
I learned a lot on this episode.
Yeah,
I don't know about
I learned
you.
a lot as well. Because as an everyday citizen, you don't think about what goes into it, right? You just think about the roundabouts.
There's just layers and layers of stuff. It's impossible. It's like a giant, like arm, like a tanker.
Yeah.
And then it takes years to get things to happen. So
if you've made it this far in the show, we're going to wrap this up on the roundabouts. We want your opinion, right? We want your opinion on whether the roundabouts are a good thing or a bad thing. Check the facts or just use your feelings. I don't care. If you feel bad about the roundabouts, then let us know. Drop it in the comments. We'll let Erik know how you feel. We promise.
Yeah. And if you, basically, if you don't like the roundabouts, buy a I'm on a roof shirt. And if you do like the roundabouts, buy an insurance policy from this guy. And that's how we'll gauge it at the end of the next month. We'll see.
Either way. Well, thank you guys so much. And
awesome job. Thanks for coming, Erik. It was great.
Thank you both. I appreciate you.
All right.